champions, I welcome you all to score 360 out of 360 in NEET Bio within 250 days, and today we are going to complete the chapter, that is evolution, by studying the brief account of evolution. I know this particular topic might be boring for a lot of people. It was boring for me as well. I am strongly agreeing to it, but then yes, we are people who are preparing for NEET, right? So we have to anyway study everything. So this is one part of it. So let's juggle up and let's read it anyhow. Let's study it. It's going to be easy. The terms are quite big, but for us, as I said, it's possible. Everything is possible for us, right? So we will be able to do that. Let's have that positive mindset and let's begin. So over here, what did we cover in our previous session? We spoke about the Hardy-Weinberg's principle. It's a very important topic. I hope you have seen it. I have given different ways or different types of numericals, okay, coming from the same topic, and also the factors, the 5 factors which affects the Hardy-Weinberg's principle. I hope you are thorough with these 5 factors as well. Why I am saying have you studied, because this is a topic which has really high weightage from this particular chapter. So I want you to study. It's a very easy, pretty nice little topic. Okay. Now, if you want the notes for the same children, you can join our WhatsApp channel. Yes, because it includes just us. Now, the number of questions that have come from this chapter is 4. In the previous year, it can change. Okay. Now, suppose it is 4 this year also, that is 2025. That is coming year. So 4 into 4 for all correct answer, you get 16 marks for this chapter. So this is not something that we can miss. We have to study it. So let's study it. Yeah. And I hope you have already, just think that you have already got 16 marks because we have completed the chapter like that, like a butter. We have completed each and every single thing from this chapter. So let's not miss even a single mark. Now, I remember I gave my little chutkus a little homework. Let's see who all got it correct. So, genetic drift operates in what? Small isolated population, large isolated population, non-reproductive population, slow reproductive population. What do you mean by genetic drift? That is the first question. So, for example, this is a population, my dear children. Okay, and over here I had so many cute little beetles which were orange in color. Okay, and there was a small little population of white beetles. But the problem was that these guys were acting so bossy. Okay, these guys were saying, we are more in number, let's dominate over here. There is no one who can come to our region and dominate us. So they were so much dominant over there. But then one day what happened? A big elephant was walking around looking for its food. And then this elephant basically stamped this particular region such that all of them, they got killed. Now, how does the population look now? The population basically will be looking like this, where the more number of things will be the white beetles. They will be in more number. Agree? Because obviously there are no competitors over there. So food and everything is there. So you see the genetic makeup, the allelic frequency has changed, and this change in allelic frequency obviously changes everything that is said by the Hardy-Weinberg principle, which says that every time the allelic frequency will be same generation after generation, but it's not like that. The allelic frequency have changed already, and this process, which occurs by very much a big chance, just by a chance, it's a very random process, it occurs by chance. You call this process as children genetic drift. What do you call it? You call this as genetic drift, because it is occurring by chance. Now, where will genetic drift operate in? Do you think it will operate in small isolated population, large isolated? Where can you see the most of it? There. So, for example, just imagine this is a large population. Okay, same thing. The elephant walked, but it might have walked 1 to 3 steps, that's all. There are still so many organisms right there, that won't bring much changes in the frequency. Sometimes the white man might get killed, sometimes the orange might get killed. But if it's about a small area, obviously, if the elephant comes and stands over there, it's a huge thing that is going to happen over there, right? So obviously, genetic drift will be operating in small isolated population in comparison to the large isolated population. I hope it's crystal clear by you. Works? Chalo. Next thing. So today, now we are going to start off with evolution, and for that we have to go back a bit in your 11th grade where we spoke about the animal kingdom. Animal kingdom, ma'am, too much to study. It's easy. Okay, let's make it really, really easy. So all the animals that you see in your world, okay, by animals I'm not meaning the animals that you see in the zoo, everything that surrounds you, insects, everything, they all come under animalia. Yeah. Now the animal kingdom can be divided into two parts. One is non-chordates and the other one is chordates. Why do I call them non-chordates? Because they do not have something that is known as notochord. Okay, they do not have something that is known as notochord. See, they lack the notochord. But over here in the case of chordates, they will have notochord. So children, who came first, they or they? They came first. The non-chordates, they came first. Okay. So in non-chordates, you have different categories. You have porifera, cnidaria, ctenophora. Okay, porifera example sponges, cnidaria example jellyfish, ctenophora again same thing, and then like comb jellies and things like that. And then platyhelminthes, flatworms, aschelminthes, roundworms, annelida, earthworms, arthropoda, insects like mosquito and things like that. Mollusca, you have your octopus. Okay, echinodermata, you have your starfish, hemichordata, you have the something else, okay. But anyways, that something else might not be known to you, which is why I'm not saying. Okay, so basically all these different categories are there, different animals are there, which comes in these particular categories, okay. So that's about the non-chordates. I'll tell you why I am saying all this thing later on. Then I have something that is known as chordates. In chordates, you have urochordata, you have cephalochordata, you have vertebrata. Urochordata are the ones who have notochord. Okay, who have notochord, but only in the larval stage, in their tail and things like that. Later on, it goes. Later on, it's not there. Cephalochordata, they just have notochord throughout their life. They have notochord throughout their life. And in the case of vertebrata, this notochord that you see over here, it is there in the learning stage, but it is replaced by something which is known as vertebral column, my dear children. What is it replaced by? It is replaced by vertebral column. So we all have that backboney thingy which surrounds our spinal cord, right? So basically that is being formed. So vertebrata, we come under which category, children? Do we kind of here? We come under vertebrata, and vertebrata is a subcategory of chordates. Okay? Understood? So who has vertebral column among all of them? Only they have vertebral column among all of things that you see over here. So can I call all these things from here to here as, what can I call them? Can I call them invertebrates? Yes, I can call them invertebrates. These two guys also come in this category because their notochord is still intact or it's not there at all. So basically here it is replaced by vertebral column, which is why I say that they are vertebrates. Rest all of them that you see over here, they are invertebrates. Why I am saying all this thing? Because as I said, it will be of very much use so soon. Okay, so that is one thing that we know. Okay, now we have to go ahead and divide vertebrata, because we come in this category. We have to see we come in which category of vertebrata. Vertebrata will also be getting divided. So vertebrata again is divided into two. One is agnatha and the other one is gnathostomata. Okay, one is agnatha and the other one is gnathostomata. So over here comes jawless fishes, children. They are a category where jawless fishes are there. They do not have a jaw. Okay, so without jaw, how can you have teeth? It will be just like something like this. Okay, they do not have jaw, and if you see, their teeth just look funny, by the way. So they have teeth all around. They have teeth all around. Okay, this is a jawless fish, and this comes under agnatha. Now, on the other hand, there will be organisms who have a proper jaw, who will be having a proper jaw, and they are coming under this particular category. Okay, now gnathostomata, again I can divide into two. One is Pisces and the other one is Tetrapoda. Pisces means what, children? Pisces means fishes. Pisces means fishes. And the other one is Tetrapoda. Tetrapoda as in they have four limbs over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, just like us. Okay, so we have Pisces and then we have tetrapoda. Now let's go back. I know it will be difficult to remember everything all together. Listen, animal kingdom divided into two: non-chordates, chordates. Okay, we have non-chordates entirely like that. Now chordates, you have three: urochordata, cephalochordata and vertebrata. Vertebrata are the only ones who have converted their notochord into vertebral column. Okay, or basically replaced by a vertebral column. Rest, no one has a vertebral column, which is why I call all of them together as invertebrates. Now vertebrata, again I can divide into two. Okay, I can divide them into two categories. One is agnatha and the other one is gnathostomata. Agnatha means those organisms which do not have jaws. They do not have jaw. Okay, so over here if you see this organism, it does not have a jaw, rather the teeth is distributed like that. Okay, whereas on the other hand gnathostomata, it have teeth. Okay, sorry, it has jaw. Okay, and now they can be divided into two categories. One is Pisces and the other one is tetrapoda. Pisces, okay, which is fishes, and tetrapoda as in they have four limbs. Going ahead, Pisces again can be divided into two categories. One is chondrichthyes, another one is osteichthyes. Okay. Now, bone has O sound, bone. So, osteichthyes you can remind like that. Basically, the fishes that have a bony endoskeleton, that is the inner skeleton that they have, is made up of bones. Okay, that is why you call them bony endoskeleton. You call this as osteichthyes. Can you give an example? Basically, katla, rohu, everything where you can find this spiny things, you call this bony endoskeleton. Okay. Now, on the other hand, if we talk about shark, they do not have bones. Instead, they have something that is known as cartilage. They have a cartilaginous endoskeleton. So they are known as chondrichthyes. So in Pisces, first came whom? Chondrichthyes, and then came whom? Osteichthyes. Then later on, okay, this is one category. Now later on, I am telling you something that basically this osteichthyes that you see over here, some of them were the ones that tried to move into the land as well. Some of them, they tried to move into the land and also the water. So they were in two boats. They were on the land, they were on the water also. Oh, sorry, in the water also. So it was going like that. And now you call this category as amphibians. What do you call them? You call them amphibians because they're staying both on land and water, like frog. Okay, it stays on water, stays inside water and stays on land as well. From amphibians, you have reptiles. Okay, like your snakes, lizards and everything. And then came your aves and mammals. Okay, what do you mean by aves? Aves means birds and mammals means us. We human beings, cow, dog, cat, whale, dolphin, all of them, they are coming under this particular category, that is mammals. Okay, so we all have the vertebral column, my dear children. Cool? Works? I hope you have got the basic idea. Vertebrata, again let's divide and let's run. Okay, so over here, if I say that we have vertebrata, let's divide into, first category will be what? Agnatha, that does not have jaw. Okay, and there is gnathostomata. Now gnathostomata again can be divided into two. One is Pisces, which means basically just the fishes. On the other hand, you have something else which is known as tetrapoda. Okay, which have four limbs. Going ahead, Pisces also have two categories. One is chondrichthyes. Okay, they are cartilaginous fishes. For example, shark. Okay, now comes second category, osteichthyes. Okay, they are bony fishes, my dear children. They are bony fishes, katla, rohu, things like that. Okay, now some of them, they evolved into land bearing organism, some things that can live on land as well as water. They were known as amphibians, like a frog and stuff. From amphibians came reptiles, and from reptiles came aves and mammals. Okay, aves means what, children? Birds. Aves means birds. And then you have mammals. I hope this is clear. Pakka clear? Okay. Now we are going to talk about the timeline of how they developed and everything, how everything happened. Okay, chalo. First thing, the first prokaryotic cell. The prokaryotic cell, do you understand what do you mean by prokaryotic cell? Basically, the ones that do not have nucleus, that do not have anything, just primitive cell, which just have the genetic material. Okay, that is what you mean by prokaryotes. So they appeared almost 2000 million years ago, or I can call 2 billion years ago. Okay, that's when the first prokaryotes are told to be seen. Okay, now what happened? You need eukaryotes, our cells, basically we are considered to be eukaryotes. Why? Because every part of our body has eukaryotic cell. What do you mean by eukaryotic cell? This is a cell which has a nucleus, and the nucleus has the DNA. So DNA is kind of protected. Similarly, we have all the membrane bound organelles like mitochondria, this, that, everything. Okay, so we are eukaryotes. So it is said that prokaryotes are the ones which were actually responsible for the formation of eukaryotes. So what might have happened is that there is one prokaryote, there is another prokaryote. This one prokaryote might have taken in the other prokaryote, have tried to eat it. Okay, now it is inside it, and then they formed a symbiotic relationship. They stayed there because they were useful for each other, and it went on, and that's how a proper normal cell was obtained. Why do I say so? Because we know there is mitochondria in our cell, we know there is chloroplast in our cell. This were said to be, these things that you hear, these organelles that you hear, they were not organelles, they were considered to be a prokaryotic cell. This was a single prokaryotic cell, but when the attack basically was taken in, they came inside, and now they were getting benefit from this particular thing that was taken in, and they lived like that, and that's how you got the first eukaryotic cell. That's how you got the first eukaryotic cell. Now when you got one eukaryotic cell, obviously they will come together and will form first multicellular organisms. They will be coming and forming what, children? First multicellular organisms. Works? Cool? Now come over here. That is done. Until here we have done. Now first multicellular organisms came. What do you mean by that? Basically cells and everything came, and now came invertebrates, the ones that you saw before, the non-chordates, porifera, cnidaria, ctenophora, all of them. Okay, and also cephalochordata, also urochordata, all of them, they came how many years ago? 500 million years ago. So from here it was 2000 million years ago. From there, by the time that is 500 million years ago, who came, children? The first invertebrates were reported. The first invertebrates were reported. Okay, now if you see, invertebrates were this. These guys were reported. Okay, but still vertebrata have not been reported. Only them have been reported. Okay, 500 million years ago. Okay, where was the first prokaryote discovered? Basically 2000 million years ago. That is 2 billion years ago. That is billion, this is million. Okay, now what we want? Vertebrates. So invertebrates also, I told you we have two categories. One is Agnatha and then is Gnathostomata. So first came these guys. The first came these guys, that is jawless fishes, that you can see over here. So jawless fishes came. Okay, it comes under vertebrata almost 350 million years ago. And then also one more thing appeared, Osteichthyes. So Osteichthyes were also observed during this particular point of time. Osteichthyes were what, children? They were bony fishes, if you remember. So as of now I am saying that the Agnatha came, that is the jawless fish came, and also Osteichthyes came by 350 million years ago. Okay, so probably before that they also came, which is why how they might have evolved into this. Okay, so that might have happened. Agreed? This were simple forms, this were more complex form. So they came like that. Now in Osteichthyes, there was one particular Osteichthyes which is given in your NCERT, and that is lobfish. Sorry, lobfins. Okay, what do you call it? Lobfins. And you also call it coelacanth. What do you call it? Coelacanth. Please remember, it's a very important name. Over here only in this years, okay, 350 million years only, these things were observed. Now from lobfins, it was said that the amphibians came through. Okay, the lobfins, and it was expected that it would be extinct. This would be extinct because we are talking about millions of years ago thingy, right? But in 1938, I suppose it's given in an NCERT, I'll read it out. In 1938, I suppose, there was presence of lobfins seen by some person. Okay, that means it has not gone extinct and still evolution might be happening. Okay, or it might have been there, some of it might have evolved, we never know. So at least this was there, that was for sure, because it was seen in 1938 or those years as well. Now from law of fins came home children, came amphibians, and from amphibians came reptiles. Okay, now over here simultaneously, if we talk about plants, 320 million years ago, 350 is this, 320 million years ago, you saw some seaweeds and vascular plants as in the one that have the vascular bundles, that is xylem and phloem, also in the water bodies. Okay, so that was also seen. Done? Now, okay, let's revise this and then only we are going to go ahead. Otherwise, I know it will be a big confusion later on. Chalo. So first prokaryote. How many years back, children? 2000 million years back. Okay. Then you got first eukaryote. Then you got first prokaryote, first eukaryote. Then you got first multicellular organism. Multicellular organism. Apparently, they should be invertebrates. So you got the invertebrates in which year? 500 million years ago. So after so much time you got them. Okay, invertebrates are there. That means that includes all the non-chordates and urochordata and cephalochordata. Okay, but still we had to find vertebrates. So in vertebrates you got them. Who are those? Jawless fishes. You got jawless fishes. Okay, which comes under the Ignatha, that is a vertebrata. And you also find a Gnathostomata, which was what? Osteichthyes. Osteichthyes, that is the bony fishes. During which era? Basically when it was 350 million years ago. You are talking about 350 million years ago. And now Osteichthyes, in them you had one type of fish, lobfin. You also call it coelacanth. Okay, it was observed. It was thought to be extinct because you are talking about million years ago, but it was not extinct. It was seen 1938, something like that. Now this lobfin was the one that gave rise to other vertebrates, that is tetrapods. Okay, so this was the Pisces, the fishes. This is Ignatha. This is we are talking about Gnathostomata from here on. From here until here we are talking about Ignatha. Okay, and from here we started off with vertebrata. And from here we started off with vertebrata. Now you have Osteichthyes, lobfin. Lobfin basically you get you amphibians, and from amphibians you had reptiles, my dear children. Okay, works. Now simultaneously over here, almost 320 million years ago, you found the presence of seaweed. Okay, you found the presence of seaweed, and apart from seaweed, what was there? Apart from seaweed, what did you find? Vascular plants. That means the ones that had the vascular bundles, xylem and phloem and stuff like that. Okay, so this was also happening. This is clear? I hope this is clear. Chalo, let's go ahead. Now, I have deleted this and I have shifted this up. From here I have shifted this up. So you will see invertebrates over here. So invertebrates 500 million years ago, them 350 million years ago, amphibians, reptiles. Now from here on, okay, I say reptile dominated from 265 million years ago. So in your answer it is written that almost reptiles, they were dominating the earth for 200 million years ago. For 200 million years ago, it was said that it was dominating. Okay, and basically they said that by 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs which were there, okay, the dinosaurs, everyone comes under reptiles, so which were there, they disappeared. So that means it has to be 265 million years ago where the reptiles were actually shown up, which is why they were there for 200 this thing. Okay, after this they went off. Okay, now over here in the case of reptiles, they had ichthyosaurus. Okay, there was something that is known as ichthyosaurs. So in your book there is no U. They were type of dinosaur thingy. Okay, and it moved into water in which year? 200 million years ago. Okay, so 200 million years ago, this ichthyosaurus that you see over here, they moved back into water. So probably that's how there were waterborne reptiles also. So there were certain reptiles which were found in water also. Okay, and then One more thing is given in your book. There was a largest dinosaur whose name is Tyrannosaurus rex. It was 20 feet in height. So that was also there. This is given in your NCERT, which is why I have put over here. Now after that, which is said that by 65 million years, the dinosaurs that you were seeing as of now, they all kind of disappeared. They might have evolved into something else. So basically it is said that basically some of them evolved into aves and then mammals. Cool? Works? Will you be able to remember it? After amphibians came reptiles. They were there dominating the earth for 200 million years. Okay, and in reptiles, if you talk about dinosaurs, okay, if you talk about dinosaurs, they disappeared by 65 million years ago. Okay, done? Cool. Ichthyosaurus basically was a form of reptile which moved back into water, and probably they might have evolved into some watery organism. Okay, now over here, largest dinosaur, it is what? Tyrannosaurus rex. It was 20 feet in height. Cool. Now that's all for the first part. If you read it from NCERT, your brain will go like this, which is why we have a very structured thing that I explained it to you right now. Well, we will read it once more so that you get an idea of it. Okay, chalo, let's read. So slowly, single-celled organisms became multicellular forms. By the time of 500 million years ago, invertebrates were formed and active. I told you, by 500 million years ago, invertebrates were formed and they were active. Going ahead. Jawless fish probably evolved around 350 million years. Seaweeds and few plants existed probably around 320 million years. So over here you see jawless fishes which were there, they were around 350 million years ago, and if you talk about the seaweeds and everything, 320 million years ago. Okay. Now, we are told that the first organisms that invaded land were plants. They were widespread on land when animals invaded the land. So, it is said that plants were the ones who were first invading, and then only came animals. Fish with stout and strong fins could move on land and go back to water. What is this fish? I told you there is a link. Okay, there's a lob fin, I told you, right? This was about 350 million years ago. In 1938, a fish caught in South Africa happened to be a coelacanth, which was thought to be extinct. These animals, known as lob fins, evolved into the first amphibians that lived on both land and water. So it is said that initially there was a fish with a stout, okay, fish with a stout and strong fins, such that it could move on the land as well as go into the water. So it was supposed to be extinct, but then in South Africa, where children, in South Africa, they found this particular fish which was known as lob fin. Okay. Now, these animals known as lob fins, they evolved into what? The first amphibians that lived on both. That is what exactly we have written over here. So, lob fin over here we had it, and they were evolved into amphibians. Now, however, these were ancestors of modern day frogs and salamanders. Basically, they are the amphibians we are talking about. Now, the amphibians evolved into reptiles. I told you, amphibians into reptiles. Now, over here, they lay thick-shelled eggs which do not dry up in sun like those of the amphibians. So, have you seen the eggs of the amphibians? They are basically, they mostly lay their egg in watery environment. So you might have seen frog's egg. It's like jelly little thing over here. It looks like that. It's not thick skinned, thick shelled. It's not at all thick shelled. Whereas if you have seen certain snakes and all egg, it has very thick shell. Okay, so that was different from what was amphibians having. So amphibians had a different type of thing, whereas when you talk about reptiles, they had a thick shelled egg. Okay, again we could only see this, see their modern day descendants, the turtles, tortoise and crocodiles. Obviously we are just seeing the descendants, modern day descendants, that is turtles and all of them. We are not seeing dinosaurs, which were the actual reptiles which were being formed. Okay, now in the next 200 million years or so, reptiles of different shapes and sizes dominated on earth. In the next 200 million years, what was found? All the other things were dominating, all the different kind of reptiles. Now giant ferns, that is pteridophytes, were present, but they all fell to form coal deposits slowly. So pteridophytes were also there, a type of plant. We'll talk about plant in a different way. Okay, so they were also there. They were supposed to stay like that, but they all actually formed the coal deposits and stuff like that. Some of these land reptiles went into backwater to evolve into fish-like reptiles, probably 200 million years, that is ichthyosaurs. I told you that some of them some of them, they moved back into water. Example, ichthyosaurs. Okay, to form what? To form fish-like reptiles, which could stay in water itself. Okay, cool. Now, okay. The land reptiles were, of course, the dinosaurs. You know that. The biggest of them, that is Tyrannosaurus rex, was about 20 feet in height and had huge, fearsome dagger-like teeth. Very big teeth, okay. So, please, for them, okay. Okay, so ichthyosaurs, you can think of them as a reptile, don't think of it as a dinosaur, okay, my problem, okay. Please, when they said about dinosaur, the dinosaur came in over this time and they were land reptiles, keep it like that only. So, this was an example of dinosaur, that is Tyrannosaurus rex. Now, about 65 million years ago, the dinosaurs suddenly disappeared from the earth. We do not know the true reason. Some say climatic changes killed them, some say most of them evolved into birds. The truth may live in between. Small size reptiles of that era still exist today. So no one knows that how or why the dinosaurs actually went off. Okay, there's a hidden mystery over there. Okay, but yes, the dinosaurs have went off, that is there. But instead of them, there were so many small reptiles which were we found and which are still there. So lizard that you are scared of, a lizard which you love, everyone, they all come under this category of reptiles. Okay. So that is about the first or the initial paragraph in your book. Now comes the time where you have to talk about the different eras. Okay, where you have to talk about different eras, the organisms which came up in different eras, the plants that came up in different eras. So we are going to talk about that next. So the next thing is this, which is a picture that I have taken from your NCERT. So you have different eras written over there. Okay, Paleozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic. So let's try to learn it slowly. Okay. So over here, first is Cenozoic era, okay, then is Mesozoic era, then you have Cenozoic, Mesozoic, I already forgot, Paleozoic era, yes, okay. This is very easy. Cenozoic era can be subdivided into quaternary and tertiary era. Please remember it, it's not for fun, okay, we have to remember it. Now, Mesozoic, again, it can be divided into different categories. First, we have, okay, the middle one is Jurassic, okay, here it is Triassic, okay, and this is Cretaceous. Cretaceous, Jurassic, Triassic, okay. Now, over here, again, just a second, even I forget at times. Okay. Ayyo. Oh, that went off. How can I bring that back? Okay, anyways. Okay, I think I should be writing it here so that. So, Cenozoic, then what? Mesozoic, and then Paleozoic. Okay, Cenozoic, Mesozoic, Paleozoic. Cenozoic is divided into quaternary, and then tertiary. Okay. Mesozoic is divided into Cretaceous, Jurassic, and Triassic. At the end, I will tell you how to remember it. Fine. Now comes over here. So this is the three category of them. Now we have Permian, Carboniferous, Devonian, and Cambrian, then Silurian. Okay, so this is given in your NCERT, but actually you have two or more them. Two more, you have Cambrian and you have Ordovician. Okay, now what is that way, how we can remember it? Okay, so there is a thing where you have to think of it as ulta thing. Okay, so see over here, Cambrian, camels, Ordovician, often. Camels often sit down carefully, perhaps their joints creak. Okay, so over here, C for Cambrian, O for Ordovician, S for Silurian, D for Devonian, C for Carboniferous, P for Permian, T for Triassic, J for Jurassic, C for Cretaceous, and then you have quaternary and what children? You have quaternary and tertiary. Okay, so both one from here to here What is this known as? This is known as which era? Paleozoic era. Paleozoic era. Okay. From here to here it is known as Mesozoic era. And then you have Quaternary and Tertiary, which comes in which era? Caesozoic era. Will you be able to remember it? Camels often sit down carefully, perhaps their joints creak. Okay, so that is how you can remember it, or you can remember it simply. I think you can remember it simply only, but sometimes you get confused, which is why I gave this also to remember in order. Okay, but you have to definitely do that, to try to write it down, and try to remember. That will be the best way to learn this. Okay, so that's all. Now we will go on to talk about the plants. Fine. So let's go ahead with evolution of plants. In the case of evolution of plants, before going into this very important chart, we have to have a basic idea of plants, how they might have evolved. Okay, so initially we didn't have the plants that you see today, that is the flower bearing or the seed bearing plants. Initially we had a very simple form of plants, and you used to call them, all of them, as algae. Okay, and they used to come under something that is known as Thallophyta. Okay, so the plants, they were very simple, and you used to call them algae. Now this algae is different from the ones that you see in kingdom Protista. That is a whole different kingdom. This kingdom is kingdom Plantae. We are talking about plants, children. So the initial form was algae, which did not have this leaf, root, stem, nothing like that, nothing. Okay, they were totally different, but they had chlorophyll and they were able to make food. That was the thing. Okay, now going ahead, they evolved into something that is known as bryophytes. Now bryophytes were like, you didn't have anything, but at least we should be like plants. So they had this stem-like, leaf-like structures. I'm not saying they were exactly having stem and leaf, and no, they had stem-like and leaf-like structures. For example, have you heard about moss? Okay, moss is grown on the rocks and things like that, the green thing. So you always say this is a plant body, but exactly, it is a plant body, but it's still in the evolutionary phase. It does not have all the characteristics of an actual plant. Okay, so bryophytes are there. Now bryophytes, even though they had developed from them, still they were lacking one very important thing, which was the vascular system, which was the vascular tissue. What do you mean by vascular tissue? Xylem and phloem comes under vascular tissue. Xylem is basically used for transportation of water, and phloem is used for transportation of food. Now you need both of them because plants cannot move around. So they need to have these things in their body so that water can be easily transported. But in the case of bryophytes, they were small chunu-punu plants. Okay, they did not have the vascular tissue, and they were quite okay with that also because they stayed near the area where water was enough. Okay, so everything was all good for them, but they did not have vascular tissue, so I'm writing no vascular tissue. But that was a problem because modern day plants definitely have it. So probably we might have evolved, or basically the other plants might have evolved from something else, right? So bryophytes, they slowly evolved to something that is known as pteridophytes. Okay, I'm writing an example of this so that you remember. So moss is an example of bryophytes. In pteridophytes, you saw that there is a bit more development. Now they had what, children? They had the vascular tissues. Okay, they had the vascular tissues and they were quite happy with that as well. Okay, now we had the vascular tissues, and what can you give as example? Have you heard of fern? Fern is an example of pteridophytes. So pteridophytes were the first plants that had the vascular tissues. Going ahead, pteridophytes also evolved. Still we didn't have seed, right? So still they evolved into something else which is known as gymnosperms, children. Gymnosperms are the ones that had naked seeds. For example, in the case of flowers, the seed is not naked, it is enclosed within the flower itself, right? Within the ovule. But in the case of gymnosperms, they do not have this enclosement, so seed is kind of naked. So gymno basically means naked and sperm means the seed. So they had naked seeds, but still they had seeds, so I am writing seed bearing plants. Example, you have cycad and things like that. Okay, now going ahead, the gymnosperm said, this is also not better. We need to have something much complicated. We cannot show off our seeds as of now. It's not really good. So basically came the next category, which is angiosperms. Angiosperms are the ones that are flower bearing plants. Okay, they had flower children. So this is how the evolution of plants might have worked. Now you have to see which era what all happened. Okay. So the initial thing that we had is chlorophyte ancestors. Okay, before Silurian era, which comes in Paleozoic era, Before it, they have mentioned that there is chlorophyte ancestor. What do you mean by chlorophyte ancestor? We are talking about these algae which had the chlorophyll pigments. So they were there, okay. From the chlorophyte ancestors came tracheophyte ancestor. What do you mean by tracheophytes? Tracheophytes probably might have come from the term tracheids. And do you know what are tracheids? Tracheids are a part of xylem, which is a vascular tissue. So probably vascular tissue were not found here, so I cannot say that from this came. No. It is mentioned that chlorophytes are there, then after that there are tracheophyte ancestors. So tracheophyte ancestor means probably pteridophytes might have come. Okay, so ancestors of pteridophytes have come over here. But obviously you cannot skip the bryophytes. Can you skip the bryophytes? No. So basically from here you see a branch. Okay, from here you are going to see a branch. I am going to zoom a bit in. Okay, so you see chlorophyte ancestor, that means you are talking about algae, and then came tracheophyte ancestor, that means you are talking about pteridophytes. But over here in the middle there is one more thing, and that is bryophytes. Okay, so in this era what happened, children? Over here, from here bryophytes also came in the middle, and it has to happen. Obviously without bryophytes you cannot think of this thing to get completed, right? Now tracheophytes came in. I told you the pteridophytes actually came in, and over here after that Rhynia type plants came. What is it, children? Rhynia type plants, that was the first official pteridophyte. Okay, that was the first official pteridophyte that could be seen. What is it? Rhynia. Is it visible? No? You have to remember the names, okay? Rhynia. So from tracheophytes came Rhynia type plants. Okay, even though these were ancestors of pteridophytes, so I didn't tell that they were pakka pteridophytes. They were ancestors. They had these features. Probably they are in the development stage of forming the pteridophytes. So then came what? Rhynia type plants, which were the actual pteridophytes. Now over here also, in between that, you could see there is another something that is coming, that is known as zoosterophylum. What is this, children? Zoosterophylum. From zoosterophylum you have got two things. One is herbaceous lycopods and the other one is arborescent lycopods. Okay, so from here you had something coming off, that is known as bryophytes. Then you had tracheophytes. From tracheophytes you are going to form the pteridophytes, but between that you have something that is known as zoosterophylum. Zoosterophylum again got divided into arborescent lycopods and herbaceous lycopods. Okay, now Rhynia type plants have come. The pteridophyte has come. From here came the next thing, that is known as xylophyton. What is it, children? Xylophyton. And xylophyton is a game changer. Why do I say it's a game changer? Because from xylophyton came lots and lots of things. Okay, so the first thing that came was spinopsids, that was horsetail. So horsetail, and the next thing that is ferns. Both of them, they are pakka pteridophytes, children. They are pakka pteridophytes. So what is it? Spinopsids, that is horsetail, and also ferns, that is again pteridophytes, came from xylophyton. Okay, again if you see ginkgos, conifers, nettles, cycads, everything came from xylophyton again. But what are they and how are they different from ferns? Basically, now you are talking about gymnosperms, children. These were the early gymnosperms that you had. What were these? They were the early gymnosperms that you had. Talking about ginkgos, that is the first thing. Conifers, nettles, and then cycads. They were all gymnosperms. If you talk about them and them, they are what, children? They are pteridophytes. Okay, they are pteridophytes. But if you see gymnosperms are arising from xylophyton, also pteridophytes are arising from xylophyton. So xylophyton is a common ancestor that they had. Okay, going ahead, xylophyton was also responsible for progymnosperms. That is the initial forms of gymnosperms. Okay, and the progymnosperms, if you see, they had formed the seed ferns. Now you have got the seed type plants, and from seed ferns you got the cycads, and apart from that you also got the angiosperms. So from gymnosperms, what evolved, children? Angiosperms got evolved. Same thing over here, it is mentioned progymnosperms were there, seed ferns came, that means you are talking about gymnosperms only. From here came a category that is known as angiosperms. Okay, in angiosperms you have monocots or you have dicots. Monocots are the ones that has one cotyledon, dicots are the one that have two cotyledons. We had spoke about cotyledons when we were talking about sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So if you have any doubt in that, you can go there. Now, how are questions framed? Questions would be framed, what was the era where the gymnosperms were dominant? So, in which era do you see the gymnosperms were dominant? So, over here I see ginkgos, nettles, conifers, cycads, all of them, they were gymnosperms itself. They were all gymnosperms. So, can I say that this is this phase, that is Mesozoic phase? That's when the gymnosperms were dominant? Can I say Jurassic phase is the one where the gymnosperms were dominant? Because yes, you can see they were formed in very much amount over here. Okay, so Mesozoic era, it's where the gymnosperms were quite dominant. Okay, again we'll go from the starting. We had algae type plants, okay, the chlorophytes. From chlorophytes came trachyophytes, but you cannot directly come to this. You have to include them. So from them came the bryophytes, which goes to this stage, that is Cenozoic era. Okay. Now remember, they are all developing. They are in the developmental stage. It's not like bryophytes went to that particular stage. It's not like they were found in Cenozoic era only. No, here also they were forming, children. They were in the formation. They were still forming. You say in this particular era they were forming, but they have evolved into proper bryophytes over there. That's what they means. Okay. So after that comes trachyophytes. After trachyophytes come Rhynia type plants. Rhynia are basically the first pteridophytes that you could be seeing. Now between that came Zoosterophylum. Zoosterophylum again could be divided into arborescent lycopods and herbaceous lycopods. Going ahead, you had Rhynia type plants. Again you had Xylophyton arising from them. Xylophyton comes as a common ancestor. You have to remember it. It's a common ancestor between all the pteridophytes, your gymnosperms as well as your angiosperms. So over here from Xylophyton came horsetails and ferns, both of them pteridophytes. Then ginkgos, conifers, tails and cycads. Again they are gymnosperms. And also progymnosperms. From progymnosperms came seed ferns. From seed ferns came what? Your angiosperms and everything like that. Okay. So what is the era where gymnosperms are dominant, children? It is the Mesozoic era. I know this is kind of confusing, but they have not asked you question like what happens in this era like that. But now we can expect certain questions like that. So you should be having a proper mind check, okay, like this came this, or you should have an idea, okay, gymnosperms were kind of dominant over here. So have just a basic idea, it will be really helpful for you. And also remember this thing, and the most common ancestor, that is Xylophyton. Okay, so that's about plants. That's all about plants. Going ahead, you had evolution of reptiles, children. Okay, so you know, basically I have already taught you that you had your fishes. From fishes came what? Your amphibians, then your reptiles, then the birds and the mammals, right? So you have to form the birds and the mammals over here also. Okay, when you talk about evolution of reptiles, you will be seeing how birds were evolved, how mammals were also evolved. Okay, starting from the chart. Over here, when you talk about this era, what do you call this era? Permian, Carboniferous, Triassic, Jurassic. Okay, these three things that you see over here, they are Mesozoic era. What is it? Triassic, Jurassic and Cretaceous. This is Mesozoic era. Okay, Quaternary and Tertiary, this is Cenozoic era. Permian, Carboniferous and everything, it will be Paleozoic era. Okay, going below that you have a lot of things. So you know that 350 was the time where early reptiles were there. Now they are extinct, they are not obviously present. So 350 million years ago they were there. Okay, going ahead, 3000 years ago you had two different types. You have sauropsids and synapsids. What are those, children? You had sauropsids, you had spelling sauropsids and synapsids. Now, synapses are the ones that are going to give rise to mammals and everything. You're going to see that. Okay? And sauropsids are the ones that are going to give rise to the modern day reptiles that you see today also. Okay, so sauropsid, if you see, they went on, they gave turtles. They went on, what did they give? Lizards. Okay? And also snakes and also tortoises and everything. Okay? It was given by them. And also, they gave thecodonts. Sauropsid, they gave thecodonts. What do you mean by thecodonts? So until now, how was their jaw and everything? So basically they had a jaw, and for example, if this is a jaw, on the top of the jaw they had their teeth. Okay, it was not embedded inside the socket and nothing like that. So it was a jaw, and over here they had their teeth. Okay, but from sauropsid, after a point of time came thecodonts. What do you mean by thecodonts? Basically thecodonts have sockets in their jaw. They have sockets in their jaw, just like how you have charging sockets, no? So you have a plug that goes inside a socket. So there are holes. Now in the sockets, the teeth are embedded. We are also like that. We also have thecodont Okay, our teeth also is embedded inside the jaw, or else probably when we eat, probably they might have come out. Okay, so we have evolved from them. So obviously you have thecodont type of dentition over here. So from sauropsid came a type of organisms which were having thecodont dentition. Now again they are also extinct. They are also extinct, but they formed other organisms. For example, you have crocodiles coming from them. Okay, you have crocodiles coming from them. So this can also be a question, that which is so crocodiles, what type of dentition do they have? Usually reptiles have some other form of dentition, but crocodiles have some other type of dentition. What is this type of dentition, my dear children? It is thecodont dentition. So crocodiles which have aroused from basically this organisms, they have thecodont dentition. What about gharial? What about alligators? All of them if we see, they will also be having thecodont dentition because they come in the same family. Okay. Now over here if we go ahead, we had one more thing arising from them, dinosaurs. We had one more thing arising from them, that is known as dinosaurs. Dinosaurs, can you see them today? No. Dinosaurs have also become extinct. They have also become extinct. They become extinct when it was 65. We learned, right? 65 million years ago they became extinct. So 65 million years ago they became extinct in this particular era that you see over here. So almost we can say that it was during the Mesozoic era. It was almost during the Mesozoic era, the dinosaurs and everyone were kind of flourishing. Okay, were kind of flourishing. So you know that Jurassic Park, when was it formed, children? Not Jurassic Park. Basically, you have seen that movie Jurassic Park, and it talks all about dinosaurs and everything. So we can always remember that it is during the Jurassic era. It is during the Jurassic era that the dinosaurs were dominating. Okay, they were in this dominative stage. During the Triassic era, they have just aroused. You see, in the Triassic era, they have just come. They arise during the Triassic era, they dominated during the Jurassic era, and they got almost extinct during the Cretaceous era. They got almost extinct during the Cretaceous era. Will you be able to remember it? So again, it's a Mesozoic era where the dinosaurs were playing a major role over here. Okay, so here they aroused, then in Jurassic they flourished, they were dominant, and in the case of Cretaceous, almost they were extinct. Okay, and they came from the thecodonts only. Now from the thecodonts came crocodiles, the dinosaurs, and also if you see ahead over here, you got the birds. You got the birds also from them. Cool? Works? Okay. Now comes the next category, that is synapsid. If you see synapsids, from synapsids you got Pelycosaurus. What is it, children? Pelycosaurus. And Pelycosaurus had this huge ability of having this thing, okay, which helped it maintain its temperature in some or the other way. And this is said to be reason that this particular organism was the one that actually gave rise to other mammals. So this particular organism was the one, the reptile, which was responsible for the formation of mammals later on. So from synapsid we can say we got Pelycosaurus, which had a bit, okay, so all of us, we are known as homeotherms, or we are known as warm-blooded animals. What do you mean by that? Homeotherms as in the organisms that can maintain a constant body temperature. So we organism can maintain a constant body temperature, but at the cost of energy. We are giving off energy. Okay, we are saying that use our ATP, but please maintain a constant temperature because all our enzymes are needing a constant environment. Whereas in the case of reptiles, whereas in the case of fishes, whereas in the case of amphibians, they are all cold-blooded animals. Okay, what do you mean by cold-blooded animals? They do not care about maintaining constant body temperature. According to the environment, they change the temperature. For example, it's too sunny, they will go and bask under the sun. If it's too hot for them, they'll go inside the water or do something related to that. So they do not have to maintain a constant body temperature because it needs a lot of energy, and they do not have the source of getting energy. We organisms are easily able to have food and everything, which is why we have enough energy to maintain a constant body temperature. Okay, so this organism, which is again a reptile, which was a game changer. Okay, it was a game changer. It had certain features which was letting it maintain a bit of temperature, which is why it had lots of energy also, and this was the reason that these organisms were the one that gave rise to mammals. Okay, easy thing that you have to remember is that basically you had the early reptiles. Agree? Okay, you had the early reptiles, and you know reptiles, when did they come? Okay, you studied the whole chart over here. So if you don't remember this, come over here. So over here, I am saying they dominated Earth for 265 million years. Okay, so they were there from this point to this point, that is 65 million years. They were there. the dinosaurs and everything were there. Apart from that, there are reptiles that could survived. There were reptiles that got extinct. Okay, that was the case, but at least they start showing up over here in this particular time. So you can count 265 million years ago as 300 million years ago, and that is what exactly is written over here. So over here, the early reptiles that you had were there in 350 billion years ago, which is closer to 265. I'm talking about early reptiles. From here you got two things. Okay, one is sauropsids and the other one is synapsids. Okay, sauropsid and synapsid. From sauropsid you got the modern day reptiles like turtles, snakes and everything. Okay, and sauropsid was the one that gave rise to some organism which were having thecodont dentation. Now thecodont dentation is a very evolved condition over there, so not all of them will be having, but only evolved organisms like crocodiles could have it. So thecodont dentation was there in crocodiles as well as the other organism related to that particular family. Okay, now apart from that you had dinosaurs as well. Okay, you had dinosaurs as well there, and you had birds also arising from them. Okay, you had birds also coming from them. Remember, the dinosaurs, it got extinct over here. The birds kept on moving, birds were there. The dinosaurs got extinct almost in this particular Cretaceous time. Almost in this particular time they got extinct. So it was the Mesozoic era again. It was the Mesozoic era again where the dinosaurs came, the dinosaurs flourished and they got extinct. So Jurassic Park, you can relate like that. Jurassic period is the one where the dinosaurs were dominant, and Cretaceous is the one they were starting to get extinct. Okay, so birds and all, everything we got, we wanted to make birds, we got it from the sauropsids itself. From the sauropsids, from the thecodonts, we got the birds. Okay, next category comes the synapsids. From the synapsid you had Pelycosaurus. You had what? Pelycosaurus, and this Pelycosaurus was the one which evolved later on to give rise to mammals. Cool. So from synapsids you got them, from sauropsids you got them, and you got them as well. Works. It's not very much difficult. Eventually it will become easy for you if you just read it once or thrice. Okay, I know I'm not saying it is very easy like a butter and things like that, because there are different terms, even I don't remember it. So you have to write it down and find the link, then only you might be able to remember it. And the questions, it is like we cannot expect what type of questions are coming. There are different type of questions being formed from this particular thing, but the least that we can do is solve the questions that were already there, so you get an idea, and we are going to solve that. So I saw almost like 6 questions. I have taken 5 questions from them and I have tried to solve it over here. Okay, I will be trying to solve it over here so that you get an idea of it. Okay, I hope this is clear, children. Now, okay, first question, try to do it by yourself. Correct order is Paleozoic, Archaeozoic, Cenozoic. Archaeozoic, Paleozoic, Proterozoic, Paleozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic, Mesozoic, Archaeozoic and Proterozoic. You tell me the answer. This came in 1991. It's an old question, but it's an easy question. Yeah? Tell me the answers. Going ahead, I will be telling the answers later on. Second question. Okay. Dinosaurs dominated the world in which of the following geological eras? Cenozoic, Jurassic, Mesozoic, Devonian. So dinosaurs dominated the world in which of the following geological eras? So if you are given a broader thing, okay, a broader aspect, for example, a broader option is given, but again, you know that which sub part of this broader topic has most amount of dinosaurs, you should be answering that. You should be more specific there. Okay, you should be more specific there. So tell me the answers. So dinosaurs dominated the world in which of the following geological eras? Cenozoic, Jurassic, Mesozoic or Devonian. Okay, this came in NEET 2013. Going ahead, you have Jurassic period. This is third question. Jurassic period of the Mesozoic era is characterized by flowering plants and first dinosaurs appeared. Gymnosperms are dominant plants and first birds they appeared. Radiation of reptiles and origin of mammal-like reptiles. Dinosaurs became extinct and angiosperms appeared. Tell me, what might have happened over here? If you want, I can go ahead and show you the picture. So this is the Jurassic era for plants. Okay, this is the Jurassic era of plants. See through what all are there. See through what all do you find it over here. Okay, they are evolving. Okay, now going ahead, this is the Jurassic period of the reptiles and everything. So over here also see what all is happening. Are the birds forming or are the birds not forming? Are the dinosaurs getting extinct or are the dinosaurs not getting extinct? See that. Okay. Here also see mammals came in which Carboniferous era only, still they got evolutionized, they got evolved like that later on. Okay, so you have to know the small things. That's how the questions are framed. Okay, so Jurassic period of the Mesozoic era is characterized by flowering plants. What do you mean by flowering plants? You're talking about angiosperms. So did angiosperms show up in Jurassic period? First dinosaurs appeared in Jurassic period. Gymnosperms are dominant plants and first birds appeared. Did it? Radiation of reptiles and origin of mammal-like reptiles in the Jurassic period. Okay. Dinosaurs become extinct and angiosperms appear. Did dinosaur actually become extinct in that period? Tell me the answer for the same. I think you will be able to do it if you try it. Now, in which era reptiles were dominant? In which era were reptiles really dominant? Cenozoic era, Mesozoic era, Paleozoic era or Archaeozoic era? In which era were reptiles dominant? That is a question. Okay. Over here again, if you want, you can take the use of this and understand. Okay. Fifth, which period is dubbed as the age of prokaryotic microbes? Prokaryotes as in the ones that does not have a proper cell. Okay, there is a cell but they do not have membrane bound organelles or they do not have nucleus and things like that. So obviously they have to be very old. They have to be very old. And the ones that we have studied starts off from Cambrian. Starts from this stage that is known as Paleozoic. Okay, in Paleozoic I told you, in your book it is not given, but there is Cambrian, there is Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, okay, and then Carboniferous, and then Permian. So the question is Precambrian, Phanerozoic, Archean, Proterozoic. So again you can be specific with your answers. If this is Cambrian, obviously at this point of time the prokaryotes were already being formed. You're now forming the plants and animals and everyone like that, they are modern eukaryotes. If you need prokaryotes, then you have to go beyond that. Okay, and what would be the most closest option that you have got over here? Okay, use your brain, tiny little brain, and then tell me the answer. Precambrian, Phanerozoic, Archean, Proterozoic. Okay. Now going ahead, let me try to solve all the questions for you. Just give me a second. Let me just pause the video for a second. Okay, so correct order is, chalo. First we have Paleozoic, then we have Mesozoic, and then we have Cenozoic. That is the correct order, children. So this becomes the answer for this, PMC. So you can remember, physics and maths are difficult for you. Chemistry is comparatively easy, then you can remember like that. Or physics and maths are comparatively easy and chemistry becomes difficult, it is PMC. Okay, so apart from biology, you have to study these many subjects. You can learn them in order. Okay, now going ahead, we have dinosaurs dominated the world in which of the following geological eras? I already told you that basically dinosaurs and everything, they came up in the Mesozoic era. Over here, the first time that they were this thing, Triassic. Okay, then in Jurassic they flourished. They were dominant, and then in Cretaceous they were almost getting extinct. So this is the answer, and this comes under Mesozoic, but you have to be a bit specific because you know from here they arose and here they got extinct. So obviously this is the stage where they were actually dominating. So this becomes the answer, my dear children. Okay, now next question. Jurassic period of the Mesozoic era is characterized by what? So in the Jurassic period, I told you, you had so many gymnosperms, that is the cycads, okay, the cycads and everything were forming at that particular point of time. You saw that. So gymnosperms were kind of dominant, and the first birds, they also appeared during that particular era. So if the question was gymnosperms are dominant and also dinosaurs are dominant, that would have also been correct. But gymnosperms are dominant plants, yes, for sure. And the first birds appear, that is also true. How it is true? Let's see over here. So over here, if you see the gymnosperms, the conifers, cycads and everything, they were now forming during this particular time. That is, what do you mean by it? Basically, the gymnosperms were being formed over Jurassic period. Okay, they were kind of dominant. Going ahead, if we talk about them, if we talk about them. So at this point of time, if you see in the Jurassic period, I told you dinosaurs were dominant, and also if you see the birds arose. So the first birds, they also appeared in the Jurassic time. So this becomes your correct answer. So I know it's a bit tricky to learn it, but if you know the knack, you will be able to do it. So flowering plants and first dinosaurs appeared, no children, first dinosaur appeared in Triassic era. Okay, flowering plants came very late. Now gymnosperms are dominant plants, this becomes the correct answer. Radiation of reptiles and origin of mammal like reptiles, no children, this came later. You saw that mammals were at the end. Dinosaurs become extinct and angiosperms appear, again no. Dinosaurs cannot become extinct in Jurassic period, they were dominant in Jurassic period. So that is again wrong. Now in which era reptiles were dominant? In which era were reptiles dominant? So reptiles in your NCERT, according to your NCERT, what have they said? Let's go back there. So according to your NCERT, so reptiles came over this particular point of time, that is almost 265 million years ago, and it is said that they were kind of very much dominant for 200 million years. For 200 million years they were dominant. In 65, when it was 65 million years time, that's when they started disappearing a bit. Okay, their amount got less. So we have to look for this time, that is 265 million years ago or 200 million years ago. If you go back to the chart and see, where does it match the best? Where is it? So 250 comes over here, or basically 265 comes over here. It is said that for 200 years they stayed like that. Then 65 million years ago they went. So if you see what is common over here, which is this era where they were kind of flourishing, they were dominant, all the reptiles. According to NCERT, it was children, what type, what era? Mesozoic era. It was Mesozoic era where they were kind of dominant. Okay, the reptiles. From here you got all the different branches that was there. This was there. I am not saying that here reptiles were not forming. I am talking about when they were dominant. So they were dominant over this particular point of time. Works? And this is Mesozoic era. Okay. Come back to the question. Let's put a check on that. Now, which period is dubbed as the age of prokaryotic microbes? Prokaryotes, as in they are not developed. Okay. From prokaryotes came eukaryotes. From eukaryotes came what, children? From eukaryotes came the multicellular organism. From multicellular organism, you got the fishes. You got the invertebrates, and you got the fishes, and you got the amphibians, reptiles, aves, birds, and everyone. So before that, the prokaryotic microbes, they might have come before Precambrian time. So before this. Before the Cambrian era, this was Paleozoic. From here starts Paleozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic and everything. So before it they might have come, so that becomes the answer. So it is Precambrian, it won't be coming. I don't think so this can come. This came in 1985. But since there is no specification in your NCERT and because huge difficulties for children to learn, I don't think these type of questions could come. But again, you should be knowing which era, what organisms are dominant. When you see a branching over there, see. For example, when it's a total different thing, for example, birds are a total different thing from reptiles. So obviously you have to know that when did they branch off. Again, mammals also, when did they branch off? You should be knowing that. Okay. See for the mammals once. So over here in the Carboniferous era, you saw that they were formed from them. They didn't mention when they branched off. They didn't mention when they branched off. It is said that they just evolved. So you do not know the answer for that, but at least for this you know the answer. So you should be remembering that. Okay. Again, snakes and all, this era. Okay. I hope you understand at least a bit. I'm not saying it will be pakka clear to you. I know this topic is like that, but at least you might have got a basic idea of how questions might be framed. Okay. So that's the thing I wanted. That's a little help that I wanted to do. I'm not saying I completely helped you, but I think something is better than nothing, right? So are you ready for homework, my dear children? I have got a little homework for you. Very easy question. That is, diversification in plant life appeared due to what? Due to long periods of evolutionary change, due to abrupt mutation. Suddenly on earth they came by seed dispersal. How did you get different type of plant life? What was the exact reason for it? So that is the question. This came in 2004. Think of it and then only then, okay? Because you know that it took long time for them to evolve. You saw the evolutionary period from Paleozoic, they moved into Mesozoic, from Mesozoic they went into Cenozoic. There were a lot of things. So you should be knowing about that. Cool. So that's all, my dear little champions. I hope that this particular topic is understood by you. But I got one more thing. I have to teach you the, how did man evolve also. So I'm so sorry, it's not the last video. There will be one more video after which we will going to end this particular chapter, because yes, I saw the questions and it is an important topic. We cannot skip it. Cool. So that's all, my dear children. If you think that this particular video was at least a bit helpful for you, then do not forget to subscribe to our channel, and I wish you all the best. Stay happy. Bye bye. Take care.